Okay, so this video was originally going to be debunking Ken Klippenstein, an investigative journalist. He posted this article, and in the body of his article, it pushed no real source, but the headline ran away anyway. It was a telltale sign of misinformation to me, claiming that every other news outlet had a copy, and he was the only one with the balls to publish the real thing, while everyone else is posting this fake one, which he says is gladly quoting from it, the real one, selectively, which I will now read. To the feds, I'll keep this short because I do respect what you do for our country. To save you a lengthy investigation, I state plainly that I wasn't working with anyone. This was fairly trivial. Some elementary social engineering, basic CAD, a lot of patience. The spiral notebook, if present, has some straggling notes and to-do lists that illuminate the gist of it. My tech is pretty locked down because I work in engineering, so probably not much info there. I do apologize for any strife of traumas, but it had to be done. Frankly, these parasites simply had it coming. A reminder, the US has the number one most expensive healthcare system in the world, yet we rank roughly number 42 in life expectancy. United is the indecipherable largest company in the US by market cap, behind only Apple, Google, and Walmart. It has grown and grown, but as our life expectancy, no. The reality is, these indecipherable have simply gotten too powerful, and they continue to abuse our country for immense profit because the American public has allowed them to get away with it. Obviously, the problem is more complex, but I do not have space, and frankly, I do not pretend to be the most qualified person to lay out the full argument, but may have illuminated the corruption and greed decades ago, and the problems simply remain. It is not an issue of awareness at this point, but clearly power games at play. Evidently, I am the first to face it with such brutal honesty. End quote. But are either of these real? Well, according to him in this interview, he said that the police were willing to give copies on the condition that it not go public. Do I have this power too? Do you? Can we go up to a police station and... May I have one radical manifesto, please?
Yeah. Just don't go sharing it.
No, officer. It's just for research.
I'll carry on then. What an upstanding citizen that is. Fine lad, too.
Or are the cops giving the privilege of withholding the information to the very people whose job it is to deliver information? Are they really that? Yep, they actually are that dumb. Ken Klippenstein goes on to say that his source received through back and side door means was just a version from the police that was a best typed up remake of the handwritten notes that made up the manifesto, making it not quite the real manifesto either. I personally still believe that is the best we got and probably an honest remake. He is very clear in suggesting, and frankly I agree with him here, that the police or the media working with them may have intended to push a certain narrative. And Ken also says in this interview that he had some backlash of concern accusing him of unleashing a Pandora's box. And now everyone will copycat this murder, like this hit 2020 movie that no one fucking knows about, called We Take the Low Road. Watched this the other day and...
It was you that marked up my cancer medication by over 15,000%.
That is exactly why Medigate even happened.
Since everybody else is doing it, this felt like the most satisfying option.
You so fast.
Pretty good. Obviously, that's not going to happen because every civilian in this country can't hold on to class consciousness for more than about a month. Unlike France or Australia, where it's kind of the bloody culture. I do, however, dislike that he published it, because the aftermath is people clipping this part of this copy of the manifesto and spreading it like wildfire that diminishes the defense Luigi Mangione's DA was aiming for,
I haven't seen any evidence that says that he's the shooter. So that's, like I said earlier, and I wasn't kidding around. A couple of things. If you're going to report something, report accurately. And remember, and this is not just a small thing, the fundamental concept of American justice is a presumption of innocence, and until you're proven guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. And I've seen zero evidence at this point.
By basically being paraphrased into being Luigi's damn confession. But he makes his side clear with this article that heavily alludes to the judge not being fully impartial. And here's where I thought I had him. Because there's no source for how he found out about their marriage. And I couldn't find it either because I don't have the budget to go digging up public records from the comfort of my big red truck. The lot losers must fucking hate me.
Yoo-hoo, do you want some company? Shut up. I'm busy looking up old men on Facebook. Yeah, give me that incriminating evidence about how he has Parkinson's and runs marathons for charity.
I was, however, able to find an excerpt from the private school the judge's husband used to attend that name him and his wife and their 2 kids, for whose sake I'm choosing not to show or share the article. But if you're really curious, you can go down a Google rabbit hole. He has his private school acknowledged on both his Facebook and LinkedIn. And I looked through the document linked on Ken's article about them. A financial disclosure report that discloses that they're receiving money from a Pfizer pension, where Brett, the husband in question, worked at over 10 years ago. And all these investments in healthcare, as well as a bunch of other unrelated stuff, different stocks that are doing very well. Now, could this influence Catherine's decision towards Luigi? Absolutely.
Luigi Mangione is guilty. Now, if you excuse me, I have to go drive to the Apple store in my Air Jordans I bought off Amazon.com while drinking this refreshing Coke product. Oh no, I'm about to miss my Delta Airlines flight to Disney World.
It's gonna suck. I know it's gonna suck. I should not do comedy. All jokes aside, probably wouldn't be the first or the last time that getting a little extra money from investments on top of a secure paycheck influenced the decisions of an impartial government official. In the end, I still hate the guy. Ken, that is. For being the journalist I should be. Fuck, I mean, it's hard to go that ball-busting hard when I'm in a fucking truck. Speaking of the court, they're going to try to pull dual sovereignty on his case, which means they'll try him once in state court and then try him again in federal court. His defense team believes they can get this recognized as double jeopardy and bring it back down to the state level. They also appear to believe that the federal level charges are bogus or vague. If this case goes federal, Luigi Mangione could be facing a death penalty. It is also, however, believed that the double jeopardy defense will get thrown out because dual sovereignty is a real thing. Guess Brian Thompson might take one more life from beyond the grave. They're also accusing him of terrorism. All this info is from this article on Newsweek.com, sourced via direct transcripts. How hard is it just to mention offhandedly, Ken? But the terrorism is being defined as intended to intimidate or coerce a civilian population, influence the politics of a unit of government by intimidation or coercion, and affect the conduct of a unit of government by murder, assassination, or kidnapping. Well, first of all, let's throw up all these wrongful death lawsuits shown by UHC dating all the way back to the 90s. According to the numbers I can find, only about 4% of wrongful death claims make it to trial. So however many I flashed on screen, multiply by about 25. And there are frankly just the top hits that I found on the surface level of Google.com. You know how shit that's been recently since Google AI came out. About 90% of that 4% get settled out of court before the actual court date. And running their business like this, they profited from it. And now let's discuss what lobbying is. You know, the legal influencing of a unit of government via the power of money, which should be defined as coercion. Frankly, you should be jealous that Luigi did all this for less money and less blood on his hands. Either CEOs are shitty domestic terrorists, or Luigi is the most efficient lobbyist in modern politics. His defense team is also going after the right to a fair trial that seems to have been taken from him. In this video I'll play now, his attorney makes reference to the ways his guilt is being assumed before the trial has even started, including harsh comments from the mayor of New York. Check this out.
The second thing I want to make a record of, Your Honor, is I'm very concerned about my client's right to a fair trial in this case. He's being prejudiced by some statements that are being made by government officials. Like every other defendant, he is entitled to a presumption of innocence. But unfortunately, the way this has been handled so far, his rights are being violated. And as you know, Your Honor, there's a wealth of case law guaranteeing his right to a fair trial. But none of the safeguards have been put in place yet here. In fact, it's just the opposite of what's been happening. He's a young man, and he is being treated like a human ping pong ball between two warring jurisdictions here. These federal and state prosecutors are coordinating with one another, but at the expense of him. They have conflicting theories in their indictments, and they are literally treating him like he is like some sort of political fodder, like some sort of spectacle. He was on display for everyone to see in the biggest staged perp walk I've ever seen in my career. It was absolutely unnecessary. He's been cooperative with law enforcement. He had been in custody for over a week. He waived extradition. He was cooperative at all accounts. There was no reason for the NYPD and everybody to have these big assault rifles that, frankly, I had no idea it was in their arsenal. And to have all of these, the press there, the media there, it was like perfectly choreographed. And what was the New York City mayor doing at this press conference, Your Honor? That just made it utterly political. And as Your Honor knows, under Lauro v. Charles, the Court of Appeals for the Second Circuit has held it to be clearly established that these staged perp walks to the media, unrelated to a legitimate law enforcement objective, is unconstitutional. And I submit there was zero law enforcement objective to do that sort of perp walk. There's absolutely no need for that whatsoever. And frankly, Your Honor, the mayor should know more than anyone of the presumption of innocence that he too is afforded when dealing with his own issues. And frankly, I submit that he was just trying to detract from those issues by making a spectacle of Mr. Mangione. And there are consequences to this. He has a right to a fair trial. And I just want to put on the record statements that the mayor made publicly about my client. Nothing saying alleged, for example. And he said, I wanted to send a strong message with the police commissioner that we're leading from the front. I'm not going to just allow him to come into our city. I wanted to look him in the eye and state, you carried out this terrorist act in my city, the city of New York that I love. And he wanted to show symbolism. Your Honor, he's not a symbol. He's somebody who is afforded the right to a fair trial. He's innocent until proven guilty. And the mayor was talking to jurors, future potential jurors that elected him. Those are the people that elected him, that he is talking to and calling this man a terrorist.
And finally, a quote from this philosophy blog by Irfan Khawaja, which I believe fits the working class mindset best. Given the structure of our legal system and society, it is highly unlikely that he ever would have been stopped by legal means. He being Brian in this case. In that case, Mangione did us all the service of stopping him. You might accuse him of utopianism, impracticality, imprudence, disrespect for the legal process, or even for leaving the job half done. But if Thompson is guilty of wrongful killing, then whatever his faults, Mangione can't be faulted on grounds of justice. Justice is what he brought about. End quote. Although I will disclaim that Arvind spoke in ifs and theory in the phrasing of his blog, and these words are not meant to be his beliefs. But I do think the words spoken are powerful. Please don't kill anyone, though. However, I don't think I could stomach being a CEO of a healthcare firm, knowing any minute someone I'm in a roundabout way responsible for dies under my army of middlemen, and I'll be all the richer for it. Guess that's why I'm making YouTube videos in a closet and driving a big red truck. That, and I was born poor and systematically kept poor. That's why I have a favor to ask. I'm not going to ask for money. Just go watch all my other videos, okay? That won't make me any money either. But it will make me feel less silly about skipping sleep to write this script and talking to myself in a closet. That's richness of the mind, folks. And ad addendum, because new things came to light since I wrote this script in the sleeper berth of my truck a week ago, info is going to be shoehorned into the script. As of writing this amendment to my script, I plan on recording, editing, and posting this video later today, December 30th, 2024. So to get a bit autistic about all this, I'm going to insert this barely relevant info dump. So supposedly Elon Musk posted this tweet claiming CEOs have some kind of important role to play. Well, that's fake as fuck in two different ways. First of all, the tweet is fake, and I had to go through pages of Google to find a version of it that wasn't watermarked like this. They really wanted this removed from the internet. But also, CEOs are so unimportant that the business is carrying on like normal. Besides a bit of mourning their CEO, everything is going forward like usual. Barely a ripple in the water. In the midst of a global cost of living crisis, the average modern CEO in the US makes 290 times the average pay of their employees. This number was estimated to be just 20 times in the 1950s. Frankly, I do believe a CEO should be the highest paid employee in a company. They're the figurehead and often an owner of the company. This does not warrant such a level of wealth hoarding, though. In UHC's case, their average pay is $39,500 per year, according to ZipRecruiter. While Brian Thompson made $10.2 million in his yearly compensation package. This means, in his case, he made just short of 260 times as much as his average employee. UHC employs 440,000 people worldwide. If the CEO's pay was reduced to just 20 times the average, there'd be enough money left over to increase each employee's yearly salary by $20,000. That's a 50% increase. This information is publicly available, and you can do the math for your own employer using this equation. Find the average pay of an employee in your company, then find the pay of your CEO, and then the number of employees employed by your employer. Your CEO's pay minus your average pay times 20, then divide by number of employees, then divide your average pay by all that to get your percent increase. Also, Brian Thompson was only the leader of the insurance arm of the larger United Health Group, whose CEO is Andrew Whitty. He officially makes only 1.5 mil, but his total compensation package is worth 23.5 mil. His official reported pay ratio, required by Dodd-Frank Wall Street Reform and Consumer Protection Act, is 352 times more than his average employee. Andrew Whitty made a statement to a New York Times opinion piece that have him saying things such as, "We are willing to partner with anyone, as we always have, healthcare providers, employers, patients, pharmaceutical companies, governments, and others, to find ways to deliver high-quality care and lower costs." He also said, "We know the system does not work as well as it should, and he understands people's frustrations with it. And he also said that all that is part of their mission to help make it work better. As if there isn't incredibly recorded excess of cash getting funneled into their personal accounts. And additionally, a recorded at least $2 million into lobbying firms per year, as high as $10 million in 2023, that according to this article on jacobin.com, which I recommend reading, and as usual, all my links to info are in the description, UHC has been the boogeyman fighting against reform since the 90s. That's all. Carry on now.